This is Beyond the Numbers, coming to you live from our studios here at Kukumlemle in Accra.
Today we'll be assessing the economic cost of Galamsey on our dear nation Ghana, while professing solutions for actionable, decisive policy solutions and ending the national menace.
We'll also highlight how activities of illegal miners have eroded vast amounts of forest reserves, water bodies, and human health. My name is Winston, Tackie, and I'll be doing this with...
I'm Ziblim. We'll be right back after this short break.
Welcome back to Beyond the Numbers Live here on JoyNews. We're also watching us on Facebook, and make sure your messages are being sent on the live production. Right now, the issue of Galamsey has been rippling across all social media handles all over the country. There's a call from Parliament, policymakers, stakeholders calling for decisive action by government to ensure all Galamsey operations, especially across key forest reserves, water bodies, should cease. But we also want you to know that there is a ripple effect of this activity on our economy. But before we delve into the numbers, I want you to take a look. Geographically, we use Google Earth to assess various places where Galamsey operations are happening. So right now on your screen, you'll see this is Ghana. We'll go straight to Ghana. The places where Galamsey is happening right now. I want to show you a pictorial view on what is happening now. So you're watching River Ayensu. As you can see, River Ayensu has a very clean color, clean water. What you're seeing now is how the water is supposed to be. So when we say clean water, clean rivers, this is the beauty of the river from Google Map. So right now, when you get to River Ayensu, it looks very clean. Now we're going to compare River Ayensu to another very important river which supplies life and livelihood to the communities around it. So let's move to a very interesting part, within the same region. And this, as you can see, is River Ofin. Look at the color there. Looks like your ideal milk being poured in your cup for morning breakfast tea. The color is different. From this whole stretch, all you see brownish in nature are all Galamsey areas. They go as far as the other side of the same Ofin township, moving southwards into different parts of the same region. So as you can see, all these areas are Galamsey side, all these areas. We are losing forest reserves, we are losing livelihoods there, biodiversity, all of them are being impacted. Now let's look at another river, which is Pra. Yes, so we're moving to Pra River, which this is Ankobra actually. River Ankobra, this is live view for using Google Earth. So whatever you're seeing there is live, Google Earth. So this is Ankobra, River Ankobra. Also very brownish, as you can see. Everything you see here is live. So this is the pictorial view of our current state of the community, the land area, and River Ankobra. So we are basically damaging our own forest reserves for the sake of mining gold and any other resources that may be found there. Now let's take a final view using the same Google Earth to let you see the Pra River especially. And Pra has a very devastating outlook. So the picture you're seeing there is the current state of River Pra. The current state of River Pra. It goes as far to the other side. We are moving on. All these places, the water bodies there, as far stretch, it goes far beyond, it keeps going far beyond, and all you see there is Galamsey impact. Now we want to go straight to the numbers for you to see realistically how much we've lost, how much is behind the water bodies that have been affected, especially cocoa. Yeah. Cocoa is a very important commodity, but we're going to the numbers right now on your screen for you to see how much we've lost in terms of total forest reserve, of course. Caleb.
Yeah. So we are starting from the cocoa sector.
Yes.
If the slide can come on. So we are talking about the hectares that we've lost due to Galamsey. So we have so many cocoa farms in the past. And in 2020, Cocoa Board did a survey, and they found out that 20,000 hectares had been lost due to Galamsey. This was a direct impact of Galamsey on the cocoa farms. So, and that was in 2020, mind you. So it means that down the line, 4 years after, there's obviously going to be more distraction to these cocoa farms. Of course. So the slide is coming now.
Yeah. So when these cocoa activities happen, we know how important our outlook as a nation is. Our position as the second most important cocoa supplier across the world. We export cocoa. We are touted at the first initially until Cote d'Ivoire took over, now supplying almost 70% to the world cocoa market.
And even now, the International Cocoa Organization is predicting that by 2027, Ecuador is going to overtake Ghana in cocoa production.
So we're going to lose that position if possible. That's really dangerous there.
Yes.
We may think it's just a joke, but trust me, we are risking our own economic livelihood. We understand how cocoa plays a significant role in standing our economic stand as an economy. Now let's take a look at this. What you see behind me there, 20,000 hectares lost. So this is according to the Cocoa Board in 2020. They made a projection that because of Galamsey operations, we've lost about 20,000 hectares of land. This was in 2020. So 2024 years down the lane, but assessing the current figures of video we show you on Google Earth comparatively tells you that the figure is much more higher than what we are projecting for you right now. Caleb.
Yes, well, it's very dire at the moment because right now even cocoa farmers are beginning to sell their farms willingly to these illegal miners because they don't see their future in cocoa. So that's all contributing to the reduced cocoa production you can see on your screen here.
Okay, take us through this figure.
Yeah, so we started from 2016 to 2024, and the 2024 figure is a projection. So in 2016, in 2016, we had some 969,000 metric tons of cocoa produced, and that kept reducing. So we reached this peak in 2021 of 1 million metric tons of cocoa, and now in 2023-2024 season, we have seen estimates that the cocoa production in the country is not going to exceed 500,000 metric tons of production.
About that also, analysts are projecting that because of the challenges we have in the cocoa sector, it's likely Ghana will be hitting around less than 350,000 metric tons within the cocoa season. Already there's challenges about funding cocoa. Most of the cocoa cooperative societies who have consistently been calling for support are now unfortunately being forced to sell to foreigners directly outside the borders of the country. We saw recently a case of smuggling where cocoa sacks were hidden in a fuel tanker that was being exported illegally outside of this region. And that is a very disturbing phenomenon, considering the target we've given ourselves as a nation and the tagline that we are one of the best cocoa producers in the global market.
Now, because of the reduction in the production we are seeing now, our revenues are taking a big hit because we studied the data from Bank of Ghana for the first and second quarter. We just ended the second quarter. And the Bank of Ghana released data on our revenues from the export of cocoa beans. And we've seen a huge drop. Last year, around the same time, we raked in some $1 billion in revenue from the cocoa exports. But now we are making just 700 million. And that's a significant drop.
And that drop is going to affect our revenue outlook going forward.
And last week, we spoke about the cedi depreciation. And we need the dollars coming in to show up the cedi. And now because of the reduced demand, because of the reduced production of cocoa, mainly because of the Galamsey, as we're talking about, but also because of the swollen shoe disease that's affecting most farms, and also because of the weather effects, El Nino, that we're talking about on the first episode of Beyond the Numbers. So all these things play a factor into the low production we are seeing right now. And also the low revenue we are receiving is a direct correlation to that.
We saw the director of the Cocoa Board now down speaking to the farmers directly. Anytime leadership comes down to address an issue, that means that there's surely a problem from the root. He's trying as much as possible to calm down tensions at the farming side, the farm gate prices, to ensure that farmers are having the confidence in the system and structure of Cocoa Board to ensure that the smuggling is halted. Nonetheless, the key issue standing on our faces now is Galamsey. Farmers don't see the need. Yesterday, I was interacting with some Ghana Blind Association and also Blind Union and also disability people with disability who are into cocoa farming. They made me understand that the situation is very dire. And therefore, people now find motivation because of the quick cash that comes with cocoa, with mining, instead of waiting for cocoa seasonally. So people who have already marked their farmland for 1 year end up not waiting to plant their seeds or go through the pollination process that ensure that cocoa seeds are growing, the trees are growing. After collecting support from government through fertilizer, they end up not really following up with the policy of planting, but rather give out government investment with free fertilizer, free support, and all that, and we end up losing as a country.
Well, it's also frustrating because if you have the farm and you want to irrigate your trees, but because of the pollution, because of the chemicals these illegal miners are using, the water around, you can't use it to irrigate your farm. So farmers have to find water elsewhere and transport it in trucks into their farms before they can irrigate their trees. And this is very frustrating. So, I mean, in a way, I understand why so many cocoa farmers are closing down their farms, because you try to
that makes sense.
Exactly. And you're not getting anything at the end of the day. So that's all leading into this reduced production we are seeing, and ultimately the reduced revenue we are raking in from our export of cocoa beans. And this is just the first 2 quarters, Winston. It means that before the year ends, we are going to see a massive drop in our total cocoa revenues for the year.
Experts are watching us from across the world. The numbers you see behind me is a figure that tells the picture of how Galamsey has become an avenue for money laundering and many processes. So 1.1 billion is an amount of money that has remained unaccounted as a result of our cocoa export outside of the nation. 1.1 billion. If you say unaccounted, probably the operations don't go through the right channel. Therefore, outside markets who receive those exports consistently have data that has not aligned with that of our nation, especially the Bank of Ghana, in terms of export. So the Bank of Ghana can give us the data and say, yes, we exported, we gained about 4 billion worth of gold. Nonetheless, because of Galamsey operations and illegal export of some of our gold, till now, more than 1.1 billion could still remain unaccounted for.
And this was just 2019 to 2021, the 2-year period. So from 2021 to 2024, it's going to be more than this, Winston. And most of the time, when these illegal miners get the gold, they smuggle it through the porous borders we have in the country, and they sell it outside the market. So the country is not even benefiting from these illegally mined gold that they are doing in the areas. And also, we are not all the tax benefits. We're not benefiting anything from this. So even though they're polluting the earth and bringing out the gold and polluting our water bodies, we're not benefiting from this in any way.
Amazing. Now, looking at the next slide, we want you to see a very important picture. The farming, the Galamsey operations happen. I'll show you a picture of River Pra, River Densu, River Ankobra, and you saw the very devastating outlook of how the current state of those water bodies are, and the areas, people living around those river bodies, how it's affecting their whole livelihood. Nonetheless, the Ghana Water Authority has released a statement telling us indeed they are now spending much more to distill our water to make sure you and I, when you open your tap, you see clean water instead of Galamsey-infused, chemical-induced water that will flow, certainly affecting our health and that. So what you see here is the nephelometric turbidity unit, known as NTU, of what has been released by the Ghana Water Authority. So go take us through.
So from the Ghana Water Company, they say that for water to be able for purification to be possible, the water needs to have some 2,000 NTU in them. And that makes it possible for them to purify the water and we get it in our homes. But now they're recording levels of 14,000 NTU, Winston. That's more than 600%. That
means it's filled with more impurities, more dust, more chemicals. So they have to refine it far more. That is 600% higher, really increasing the cost of distilling or making sure that we have clean water. So that's what you see there. It's a very disturbing data projecting the risks associated with people living around those areas.
And in the central region as well, they say their reservoir tanks are filled with, 60% is filled with silt. So it means that just when they collect the water, just 40% of their reservoir tanks get the water. The other 60% is filled with silt, and they can't use that for anything. And as a result of that, their water production in the central region is now reduced to 25%. So with the water they get into their tanks, they just purify 25% of that.
Okay, now looking at the next slide, we're going to look at a very important figure there. So 3 covers when these forest reserves, according to data, between 2021 and 2023, we have about 1.16 tree cover losses in Ghana. We've lost about 1.164 million hectares of forest reserves within those catchment areas that we mentioned, which decreases in tree cover of, when we saw a decrease in tree cover of 24% in total. So this is what you see there. Looking at the next slide, it tells you a very different story as well.
The average tree cover loss per year is 111,000 hectares. So every year we lose about 111 hectares of our tree cover, which is serious.
This is times 5 times of Accra Sports Stadium. So if you look at the whole size of Accra Sports Stadium, this is times 3 times or 10 times Accra Sports Stadium. So this is a very disturbing phenomenon. Already, carbon trading has come to light, where Ghana is going to benefit about $60 million in carbon trading from the global market because of our tree covers. Now, looking at this data tells you a very minimal outlook going forward. We tend to lose because of what we are seeing here.
Now, so, just 76% of our tree cover. So the points we're making is just left with 76% of our tree cover.
It's just left with
76% of our tree cover.
My God.
Yes.
Now, next slide, we'll see a very interesting aspect there. So top 5 cover lot areas. So we are looking at the areas where we've lost these covers. First of them is Western region. We are losing huge covers in the Western region. In the Ashanti region, also we are losing huge covers there. The Eastern region is also very disturbing, with Central region followed, then the Ahafo region. These areas, we are seeing a very disturbing figures
and
there.
if you look at these areas, Winston, they have one thing in common.
Yes.
These are all the mining areas in the country, all the mining regions in the country. And these are the ones that have been hit hard by the loss of tree cover. So that's telling you a story that the illegal miners are causing a chunk of the deforestation in the country. And over the weekend, the Ghana Water Company has been raising alarms. And they said that, so this is what I'm talking about. They said that in Cape Coast and Elmina, that's in the central region, they're finding it difficult to purify the water. In the Ashanti region as well, Konongo and Odaso, they're finding it difficult to purify water there, and which has led to water rationing in these areas. Even in Accra, we are feeling the water rationing here. And the Eastern Regional Director of the FDA is saying that the River Densu, which supplies parts of Accra, they're also facing challenges with the River Densu, which means that Accra is going to be hit hard very soon, even though we are not really a mining town. So
as you can see, the mining is happening for these 5 key regions we saw earlier in our first pictures, the slide. And do you living here, watching us right now, irrespective of what you do or didn't do, it will affect you directly.
Exactly.
Institutions, nations, organizations, leadership have to stand up to ensure we fight this menace.
Yeah, so Winston, as you said, we have to make decisive measures to prevent this from escalating. And also, when we are trying to fight the Galamsey problem, we need to realize that these illegal miners, they have seen that they have no alternative, and that's why they resort to Galamsey. And that's why they need to resort to Galamsey. So in order to try and reduce the impact of Galamsey, we need to improve the living conditions of people in these areas before we can fully fight.
All right, so you've been watching Beyond the Numbers. We try as much as possible to bring clarity to issues and bring you numbers to tell the story. Today's edition has been quite amazing. We'll try to bring you far more next week, same time, 5:30 here on JoyNews. My name is Winston Tackie.
And I'm Ziblim.
We'll come your way next week. Bye-bye.